The storm was relentless, the wind howling and the rain pouring down with fury as if the sky itself had declared war on the city. Amid the chaos of the storm, a young boy named Luke huddled under the awning of an old building, trying desperately to shield himself from the freezing cold. His clothes were soaked through, and every gust of wind felt like it was slicing through him. The hunger gnawed at his stomach, but he ignored it, closing his eyes in an attempt to block out the emptiness. Then, a scream shattered the silence of the night. Luke's heart raced, and his instincts screamed at him to stay hidden, to avoid the danger that lurked in the dark alleys of the city. But something about that scream, desperate, pleading, pushed him forward, against his better judgment. Life often feels like an unrelenting storm, where survival is a battle against forces beyond our control. We've all been there at some point in our lives. Whether it's the pressure of overwhelming situations, emotional burdens, or even financial struggles, life can often leave us feeling drenched, cold, and hopeless. But sometimes, all it takes is one moment of kindness to change everything. Against his better judgment, Luke stepped into the dark alley, where shadows swallowed every trace of light. There, lying on the cold, wet ground, was an old man, George. He was groaning in pain, clutching his leg. The fear and mistrust of someone who had spent his life on the streets battled against Luke's instinct to help. But something stronger than fear urged him forward, pushing him to do what he had never done before: help someone in need. Much like Luke, we've all faced moments when we feel uncertain about stepping into the unknown. It's easy to retreat into our comfort zones when we're afraid. But what happens when we choose courage over fear, as Luke did? The impact it has can change not only the situation at hand but can redefine the course of our lives. As Luke knelt beside George, he could see the pain in the old man's eyes. George looked at him with desperate eyes, asking for help. Despite his fear, Luke ignored the dangerous surroundings and decided to stay. Luke's instinct to help was stronger than any fear he had. When George revealed his name and explained his injury, Luke's heart softened. George's voice, thick with pain, cracked as he explained, "I fell. I think I broke something." Luke's hands were trembling, but he managed to help George as best he could. Despite his fear, Luke refused to leave the old man. He stayed with him until help arrived, unsure of what was happening, but trusting that he had made the right decision. In a way, we are all connected by the experiences of loss and survival. When George tells Luke about his past, it's a moment of raw honesty. In this brief exchange, we see how shared human experiences can create a bond between complete strangers. It's a beautiful reminder that, even in our darkest moments, we are not truly alone. As the ambulance arrived and George was taken to the hospital, Luke's world began to change. For the first time, he had someone who cared about him. George, despite his own pain, wanted Luke to stay with him, offering him a chance to leave the streets behind. Luke was hesitant, unsure of how to trust someone who had no reason to care for him. But George's sincerity softened Luke's heart. Luke had always believed he was destined to be alone, but now, someone was offering him a chance at a better life. It's easy to underestimate the power of human connection. Many of us have been conditioned to view the world through a lens of self-preservation, but there are rare moments where vulnerability and kindness break through. What would the world look like if more of us opened ourselves up to connection, just like George did with Luke? The journey was not easy, and there were many hurdles ahead. The legal complexities of Luke's situation became apparent. George, determined to give Luke a chance, began the legal process to ensure that Luke could stay with him. George's lawyer, Pedro, helped them navigate the legal process, and slowly, Luke began to realize that he had found a family that truly cared for him. The legal hurdles that Luke and George face serve as a reminder that family isn't just a matter of blood, it's about connection, commitment, and a willingness to fight for each other. Many people today are in situations where they are trying to create a family from circumstances that may not fit traditional definitions, but their love is no less powerful. After many legal battles, Luke was granted permanent custody by a judge. The court's decision was a turning point, not just in the legal sense, but in Luke's life. He now had a place where he belonged. He had a future, something he had never thought possible. Life has a funny way of surprising us. Sometimes, what seems like the lowest point can lead to an incredible transformation. What can we learn from this? The power of empathy, the strength of kindness, and the beauty of second chances. In a world that often seems indifferent, we can all make a difference, just like George did for Luke. In the end, Luke found not only a home but a family. His journey from loneliness and fear to belonging and love shows that even the smallest acts of kindness can have life-altering consequences. What makes this story so compelling is not just the events that took place, but the underlying truth that no one is beyond redemption. Every day, we face choices to show kindness, whether to strangers or loved ones. These choices, no matter how small, have the potential to change someone's life forever.